Morning, everybody. Welcome to Chassidus in the morning, 15 minutes to change your life. We should put ourselves on the spotlight. And as Achana for Shevat, Basi LeGani. We're going to finish the first parak today, and hopefully we gained a lot so far. Let me just make sure everyone is on mute. Okay, so we're discussing in the last few classes that Basi LeGani, Legununi, that in the beginning Hashem was in this world, and the revelation of Elikus was very tangible, very felt, very clear. We were in a good state of a relationship with God, so to speak. And then the Averis came and got rid of that sensitivity, that feeling. God didn't feel comfortable anymore. And then Tzaddikim came, brought it back down, and then that reenacts itself over here. And we are the seventh, and our job is to bring it back down here and bring Mashiach, meaning have that sensitivity for Elikus, feeling Elikus, that it should be very tangible. And how do we do that? By making a Mishkan, a Mikdash, we should make for ourselves a sanctuary, we should dwell within them. Hashem wants to dwell within all of us. How do we make ourselves into a Mishkan? To clean ourselves up. What does it mean to clean yourselves up? You do the Avodah. What he explains over here, to the Avodah Viskafa and Ishapcha, through transforming your nature. What needs to be clean is not your Torah mitzvahs, but it's the opportunities, the time that you have, that is things that you do that are kosher or permissible, but not necessarily for the right reasons. And working on making sure to do this for the right reasons, and working on ourselves. What do we achieve? So we went into a discussion, a difference between the two types of godliness that express itself in the world. One of them is the Shevat almin, one of them the Mamalek almin. The Mamalek almin is a light that is tailored. It's like a teacher tailoring his teaching to the student, that he looks at the student, he realizes how much the student can understand, and that's how much he gives. That's Mamalek almin. That's what God does. He looks at the worlds. You have the world of Atzilus, where you can receive a lot more, like we discussed, and you have our physical world, we can see a lot less. So he teaches us, gives us a lot less, what we can handle. Whereas the light of Shevat almin is like the teacher teaching the way the teacher understands it. He doesn't tailor it, condense it, refine it, summarize it so you can understand. It says you understand it. It's much greater, much more powerful. But on the other hand, you just couldn't receive as much. But what we're saying is that through the avodah v'skaf and ishapcha, through having that self-control and working on ourselves and this, making the choices that will let our nefesh lekis play a part, and nefesh bahamis, or the klippa, will be subdued, because that level of elikus, the higher level, the one that's not even tailored, what Atzilus receives or we receive, is the same, which is a phenomenal type of light. It's way above and beyond anything we can even understand. That's what we're achieving. So when we come, we sit there and say to ourselves, I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes not doing the wrong thing, or, which is a better example, I'm gonna turn off my phone before I daven, or I'm going to make sure to say brachas before I eat something, or I'm going to wash my hands in the morning, even though I don't normally do. Anything like that, what you've just achieved is you've caused a level of godliness that is way above and beyond the grasp of any of the worlds to come down here. And that makes our place a lot closer to godliness. And you're a place that God feels more comfortable, so ultimately you'll be able to feel godliness. Finishing off page 6. We'll go from the top. But there's another kind of light that is oblivious to the particular limitations of the various realms. Transcending them all, it illuminates them equally. This kind of light is called Shevat almin, which you're talking about. Literally, that which encompasses all the worlds. When the above mentioned quotation spoke of the glory of the God rising and being diffused throughout all the worlds. So when it says in the pasuk that we says that through the iskaf and ishapcha, that throughout all worlds, what does it mean? Speaking of this kind of light, which absorbed by all worlds equally. Now we would love it if any light that's above us in the level of Mamalek almin, the light that's tailored, if the light that was tailored to the world above us, Yitzira, would come down to our world, would be amazing. But we're saying, and even more so, an Atzilus light coming into him, we're saying we're bringing down a light way above all those things. It's a light of Shevat almin, which is an amazing accomplishment that we've accomplished. And that's why we were talking about yesterday. We have to recognize in our days these battles and realize that these decisions we can make and the effects that we can have. Of this light, if this light is to be elicited and drawn into the old world, man must labor at his task of Iburim, sifting and refining materiality, by subordinating and transforming his physical nature. But in order for that to happen, he's saying, we have to work on refining, sifting, meaning in simple, and this is sort of, I think, one of the take-home messages, which has happened to me when I started to understand Chassidus, was with this maimer. Why? Because I started to realize when there was my Nefesh Bahamis talking, when my Nefesh Lekis is talking. And this is sort of, I put a challenge to everyone to try to figure that out, try to learn and be able to come. You can come back here, or you can speak to some of your friends or us, whatever, and say, I know when Nefesh Bahamis is talking. I know when Nefesh Lekis is talking. And throughout the day, be able to recognize it. Because once you do that, so then you can start having this skafia and having the hishavcha. You have to know when it's talking, to know when to do it. This is what is meant by the above statement from the Zayar, when the Sitrach is subdued, i.e., when by laboring at his divine service, a Jew subjugates the forces of unholiness and darkness is transformed to light. So that means that when we recognize what it is, and we make the decision to not follow that, and to refine it and say, no, we shouldn't be doing this, it's not a good idea for us. What we really should be doing is learning something, or being nicer to someone, or not saying lashon hara, or going to bed on time, or making a better choice, or eating healthier, or doing exercise, or learning more. And everyone, can fit in whatever they have, because what we do desire is not those things. We desire to sit down and go to bed late, sleep in late, and rush to davening, eat junk food, and watch whatever we want to watch, and and do all these things that are totally negative, or not to exercise and things like this. So when we recognize that, and we transform that into light, and we do the right thing, then ensuring light is superior. And not just you do the right thing, you should never say to yourself, oh, finally did the right thing. It's totally false. He's saying this light that you've accomplished is way superior because it issues from the darkness, because of the fact that before you weren't doing the right thing and you weren't making the right choice, and you were going to bed late for the whole 6 months. And then one day you say, you know what? I realize this Nefesh Bahamis is talking. I want to do iskafia. I want to connect to my Nefesh Lekis. I want to break this clipper. I'm going to go to bed on time. I didn't go to bed for the last 6 months on time. It's irrelevant. The last 6 months, I didn't eat. I didn't do exercise. I didn't daven. I didn't do whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Today I'm going to do it. And when we do that, we do it not just because this level of cervical we brought down, but it's even greater because it's coming from that darkness. It's coming from that previous 6 months. So it's an even greater. We should feel even better. Not that we should make 6 months worth of stuff so you can have this good darkness light out of darkness. But the fact of the matter is, there's enough things in our lives that has been going on for long enough that when we make that choice and we do it, it's superior because it's coming from that darkness. When darkness itself is thus transformed into light, so this light is superior in that its illumination is manifest even in the physical world below. It is drawn equally into all worlds. And your cause and the circle which you brought down to this world, it comes equal into all worlds, into the world, not just the world in the sense that it's a world and in a place that is darkness, because until now you weren't doing the right thing, or you weren't making the right choice. So now you bring it into that area. Whereas let's say a tzaddik that doesn't do this type of work so much, really, so it's not dark. So there's no light coming into the darkness. In these terms, we can understand the above quoted statement of the Zayar, when the Sitrach is subdued, the glory of God arises thereby and is diffused throughout all the worlds. That's what it means, that through the Sitrach being subdued, the glory of God rises and is diffused in all worlds equally. This refers to the transcendent level of light, which is called Sevik Almin, whose diffusion is equally encompasses all the worlds below and above, which is the save of light that it gives to Atzilus, which we talked about before. Atzilus is like a world, but it's totally Elikus, whereas our world is totally concealed from Elikus. And both of those worlds, our world and Atzilus, are receiving the same. This as explained above. It's what is meant by the verse, and you should make me saints and I should dwell within them. So that's what it means. Within every individual Jew, through his labors in the divine service of subjugating his physical nature and transmuting darkness into light, In this way, the resultant light is enhanced and the glory of the God rises and is diffused throughout all the worlds. For the transcendent light of cervical almond is thereby revealed. And through doing this would bring down a level of cervical almond, and this is what it means. We want to make a place where God can come and dwell. It's through having a skaf and his working on ourselves, recognizing where we need to stop doing what we shouldn't be doing, or where we need to be doing things that we're not doing, and working on these things and recognizing it. And like we talked about before, the challenge to recognize who's talking on Nefesh Bahamas, Nefesh Lekis. When you recognize it and you understand it, and that's what happened to me when I learned this Maimon. And like after many years of learning the Maimon, it hit me at one point. When I recognized that, it was like, wow. Because next we're going to discuss how to deal with this and how to work on it. But the trick is to understand who's talking when. Okay, summary. The essence of the Shechina was apparent in the lower worlds. In the beginning, before any hate, we could feel Elikus right here. It was very tangible. The chapter explains that the ultimate purpose of the world's creation is God's desire for a dwelling place in the lower worlds. And that's how Hashem wanted it to be. He wanted to be here. He wanted to live, so to speak, live in a house, feel comfortable. Imagine having a guest over, a very chashuv guest. And that's how it was meant to be. But what happened? We made mistakes. And then it went away. This terrestrial abode is constructed through man's divine services. How to bring it back? Through our avodah, through us. Yeah, it's very interesting that he said himself, who am I? There's 7 billion people in the world and there's me. But the Rebbe, Frierdiker, is saying, yeah, you. Your job is to bring Hashem back down into the world with 7 billion people. How? Funnily enough, by making sure to go to bed on time for the right reasons. And recognize that when the Nefesh Bahamas is talking and say, is this for the benefit of me? Or is this coming from clip-on? This is giving life to clip-on. If it is, I don't want to do that. I want to be connected. I want to make God feel comfortable in my house. When you do that, you cause a light that's way above anything we can ever imagine to be brought down to this world and affect the whole world. The whole 7 billion people is being affected by you making that right choice, washing neglavasa, saying Meidani, saying brachas, not eating the 7-layer cake. Unless you convince yourself to come to learn Chassidus through eating a 7-layer cake, and then you should eat it. This terrestrial abode is constructed in man's divine service, subduing and transforming its physical nature. In this manner, he causes the transcendent light of cervical almond, which illuminates all worlds equally, to be revealed. And so that's what we're saying. It's beautiful. So we're going to discuss more about what does it mean to refine ourselves and how do I refine ourselves and things like this in the next chapter, Parak Base, starting on page 8 tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining. Have a great day.
Thank you.